we are roaring into another brand new hour of the Steve Gruber Show. I'm glad you're here for the conversation. Look, trigger alert. You could feel good about yourself in this country once you listen to this program. A smile could be on your face for the rest of the day. You have been warned. We're patriotic. We believe in America and America first. Here are three big things you need to know right here on the Steve Gruber Show. Number one, pandemic relief. Detroit wants to spend that money that it has to spend, COVID money, on water-damaged basements and pathways to parks. What's that have to do with COVID? Nothing is your answer. Number two, a court has slammed the door on the Oxford school shooter's bid for an appeal. Good. And number three, Ballots, book deals in Benson. Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson has a brand new book out, The Purposeful Warrior, Standing Up for What's Right When the Stakes Are High. Yeah. All right, so it's $30 for a hardcover version. This is the scam, by the way, folks. Here's how this works. One of her wealthy supporters will go out and buy 1,000 copies or 10,000 copies or whatever it may be. And that money floods in, makes the book a bestseller, and funds the campaign. And it's all legal, you see. It's a way to sidestep the limits on campaign financing. Oh, we'll just buy 10,000 books at $30 a piece, or whatever the case might be, right? But that's how it gets done. Welcome to the real world. The book was released under Maria Shriver's. By the way, this is from Michigan News Source, my news team, and boy, they do a great job. They really do. They do a great job. This article, let me see, who wrote this one? It looks like this comes from J.P. Isbell. Ballots, book deals in Benson. You can find it at MichiganNewsSource.com. You can hear him at the top of the hour on 25 radio stations around Michigan as well, Michigan News Source. The Purposeful Warrior, the book released under Maria Shriver's Open Field Publishing label, hits the shelves 455 days before the Democratic primary for governor. That's August 4th, 2026. According to Benson's past actions, her version of standing up for what's right includes issuing guidance instructing election officials to presume the validity of absentee ballot signatures, not promptly cleaning up voter rolls, implementing rules limiting the activities of poll challengers, ignoring FOIA requests, and downplaying the fact that illegal immigrants were able to easily vote in Michigan elections in 2024. Seems that JP has some questions about the book. I do too. It also includes adamantly opposing the SAVE Act, Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, which Republican lawmakers passed in the U.S. House to ensure that only U.S. citizens are registered to vote in federal elections. About that legislation, Benson has said, quote, the SAVE Act is not a reasonable effort. The SAVE Act would stop millions of Americans from registering to vote by requiring voters to register in person with either a birth certificate or U.S. passport. Oh, you don't have your birth certificate? I do. It's not going to prevent millions of Americans from voting. The book includes describing an incident in December 2020 when armed protesters gathered outside her home challenging the certification of Michigan's election results. It's the kind of protest usually reserved for Democrat-backed events like the ones on the lawns at the University of Michigan Regents by pro-Palestinian protesters and those who showed up in front of the homes of Republican-appointed Supreme Court justices in response to the leaked draft opinion, Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health. Truth to that, too. Truth to that, too. Let's see here real quick. The kid who murdered his classmates will not be getting an appeal, it seems. The Court of Appeals denying the shooter's request and the attorney arguments. We don't use his name here. We don't use his name here because, well, we don't want to. And we're not going to glorify this kid who murdered his classmates now or ever. When the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan ARPA was introduced March 2021, the U.S. government spoke to delivering immediate economic relief to families. as the country was facing a deep economic crisis due to the pandemic. Instead, local governments across the country have strayed from that original mission, and now 5 years later, ARPA projects have little or nothing to do with COVID-19 and the pandemic, of course, but they've got all this money and they must spend it. They'll never send it back. They'll never say to the working people in America, gee, thanks, we don't need any more. Not now, not ever. The most recent examples are projects the Detroit City Council wants $9.4 million of ARPA money on. Some of the requests by city council members to spend the ARPA money include $450,000 to build a 6,000-foot pathway for a playground in a city park. $270,000 to build ramps for the homes of senior citizens. $965,000 to reimburse residents for water damage in their basements. They have to spend the money by 2026, you see, and they're in a hurry to spend all the money. And a quick follow-up on the comments we were having about China and Drudge claiming that all of the Chinese ships are backed up, and if you don't have shortages, you possibly might later, and things could go badly. By the way, the market's going to be up another 300 or 400 points today. Says the market's being driven by greed now. They're going to make money now. But Senator John Kennedy says the Chinese cannot be trusted. He believes a trade deal is on its way with Beijing. What do you think? Here he is.
I agree with everything you said. Trust in God, but tie up your camel. That's what's got to guide you when you deal with China.
Yes.
As you know, Larry, you've negotiated with them. We admitted China to the World Trade Organization December 11, 2001. China started cheating December 12. But if we do reach a trade deal with them, we won't just trust them, we'll verify. And there is a way to verify what we're selling them and what they're selling us. But the Chinese tariffs and their trade barriers, they're just much more oppressive than ours are, which is why President Trump elevated ours. He's got their attention, but there's a way home in this disagreement that will benefit both sides, but President Xi is going to have to make a move.
Well, I hope President Trump keeps most of the tariff.
John Kennedy, my favorite in the United States Senate. There he is. If you want to save some money and you're worried about the imports, how about MyPillow.com, promo code Gruber? You can always do that. Pillows on sale for $20. The queen size, normally $69.98 or now $19.98. King size pillows, $24.98. Look, you can get all sorts of things at MyPillow. You can get sheets, and towels, pillows, slippers, robes, necklaces. I mean, there's just so much going on. And Rev 7 energy drinks. Rev 7. It's all at MyPillow.com. Promo code Gruber. Don't be shy. Save piles of money today. There, for those of you streaming, there it is. Hey, Mike Lindell, my buddy. I don't say MyPillow very often, but if ever you want to go there, the promo code Gruber will always work. I'll be back.